Hi, and welcome to Ajua Biotech, where we make biological sciences clear. Today, we're discussing the incredible science behind the 2025 Nobel Prize in Physiology/Medicine, which was awarded for solving a mystery that's absolutely fundamental to our survival. How does our body's own defense system know not to attack itself? The prize went to three scientists: Mary Brunkow, Fred Ramsdell, and Shimon Sakaguchi. And the official reason is for their discoveries concerning peripheral immune tolerance. Now, that sounds super complicated, right? I did not want to digest this because it's not the field I'm in. But what it really boils down to is answering one single, absolutely crucial question. Your body is constantly patrolled by a literal army of killer cells designed to hunt and destroy invaders. So why don't they turn on you? How does this incredibly powerful internal army know the difference between a dangerous virus and you, your own healthy heart or lungs? Think of T cells as the soldiers on the front lines. When one of your cells gets infected by a virus, it basically puts up a little red flag, a tiny piece of that virus on its surface. The T cells are always on patrol. And if their unique receptor fits onto that virus piece, kind of like a key in a lock, they sound the alarm and unleash a full-blown immune attack. This is the whole game. Telling friend from foe. An important lesson we all have to learn. If your immune system gets it wrong, you're in trouble. Either you fail to fight off an infection or you start a civil war inside your own body, what we call an autoimmune disease. For decades, scientists had a pretty good theory about how this worked, but it turns out the story was missing a major part. And this brings us to the first part of our scientific detective story and our first protagonist, a researcher from Japan named Shimon Sakaguchi, who had a hunch that the accepted wisdom wasn't the whole picture. See, at the time, the big theory was called central tolerance. The idea was pretty straightforward. As your T cells are being trained in an organ called the thymus, they get tested. Any T cell that reacts too strongly against your own body stuff is simply told to self-destruct. Problem solved. Also, everyone thought, but Sakaguchi was really fascinated by this puzzling old experiment. This is what he did. So if you take the thymus out of a mouse, the day it's born, it works out that it has a weak immune system. But if you wait 3 days before removing it, something totally different happens. The mouse develops all these catastrophic autoimmune diseases. That suggested something incredibly important. So take it out straight away and you just have a weak immune system, but wait 3 days and take it out and now you've got these catastrophic autoimmune diseases. Some kind of protective force was being released from the thymus in those first few days of life. After years and years of work, in 1995, Sakaguchi finally cracked it. He figured out that a very specific group of T cells was responsible. He showed that if you inject mice with T cells that are missing a surface protein called CD25, those mice get really sick. But, and this is the kicker, if you add back just that small group of cells that do have CD25, the mice stay perfectly healthy. He had found the body's own peacekeepers. But, and there's always a but in science, isn't there? The rest of the scientific community was pretty skeptical. Why? Well, that CD25 protein also shows up on regular T cells when they get activated. So it wasn't a unique marker. What was the real master controller here? A huge piece of the puzzle was still missing. And the answer, amazingly, would come from a completely different line of research. So let's shift gears to our second mystery and meet our other detectives, Mary Brunkow and Fred Ramsdell. Their big clue wasn't some elegant experiment, but a very, very sick little mouse. This is the Scurfy mouse. It was first noticed way back in the 1940s, and it has a single genetic mutation on its X chromosome. Just one tiny error causes its immune system to go completely haywire, attacking its skin, its spleen, everything. The mouse dies within weeks. Brunkow and Ramsdell had this brilliant idea. If they could just find that one broken gene, they might uncover a fundamental secret of how the immune system is controlled. The task they faced was just immense. Using the technology of the 1990s, they managed to narrow down the problem to a region of the X chromosome that contained about 500,000 DNA base pairs. What came next was a true, honest-to-goodness needle in a haystack search. For years, they painstakingly mapped that entire region, finding about 20 possible genes. Then they had to sequence every single one, comparing the DNA from healthy mice and scurfy mice, just hoping to find a difference. And on the 20th gene, the very last one they checked, bingo, they found it. A tiny 2-letter insertion in the DNA that completely broke the gene. They had discovered a gene that nobody had ever seen before, and they named it FOXP3. This was it. This was the master switch that was causing all that chaos. And this is the moment. This is where our two separate detective stories completely come together and reveal a single beautiful answer to both mysteries. It was the ultimate light bulb moment. So Sakaguchi had found the security guards, the protective cells, but he didn't know what gave them their orders. Brunkow and Ramsdell had found the master instruction manual, the FOXP3 gene, but they didn't know which soldier it was commanding. The answer, FOXP3, is the gene that literally builds and controls Sakaguchi's protective cells. These cells now have an official name: regulatory T cells, or Tregs for short. They are the professional police force of our immune system, programmed by that FOXP3 gene with one critical mission: keep the peace and prevent friendly fire. So how do they actually do their job? A regulatory T cell might get a little overzealous and mistakenly try to attack one of our own healthy tissues. Before it can do any real damage, a patrolling Treg cell swoops in and just tells the other cell to stand down. It shuts down the attack before it can ever start. So this was a massive piece of fundamental science, absolutely noble. But its real power lies in what it allows you to do now, as of 2025, which is essentially to hack our own immune system. You can think of it like a volume dial. For autoimmune diseases like rheumatoid arthritis or type 1 diabetes, the immune system is way too loud. It's overactive. So the goal is to turn up the number of Tregs to quiet things down. But for cancer, it's the total opposite. Cancers are sneaky. They can actually recruit Tregs to create a protective shield. So in that case, the goal is to turn down the Tregs, taking the brakes off so the killer T cells can finally get in and do their job. And it's not just a cool idea. It's happening right now. There are over 200 clinical trials underway exploring therapies based on controlling these incredible cells. That is the real-world impact of this discovery.